Robert here at DreamPod9. Today we're going to do a short video on the main movement types for Heavy Gear Blitz, which are walker, ground, and hover. All the information can be found on pages 27 and 28 of the Living Rulebook. Each vehicle in the game has a movement rating, which will tell you whether it's walker, so it would be W for walker, G for ground, H for hover, and how many inches it can move. With that movement rating, you can actually move up to that number, straight forward, and if you choose, you could move backwards, but it costs you 2 movement points for each inch you move backwards. So if you had 6 inches, you can move forward normally, you can only move 3 back. Number of turns you can make during that move is determined by your movement type. Walkers allow you to have unlimited turns, whereas ground and hover, you can only make 1 turn during your move, either at the start, during your move, or at the end. Some of the other things that we have to remember, for heavy gear is you have posture. So when your model is activated, you choose that it could be braced for firing. That means it doesn't move. At that point, it gets a bonus, of 1 dice extra on its attack roll and loses its 1 dice on defense. It can actually turn once, but it doesn't move at all. Regular combat speed, has no penalty on attack or defense. No bonuses either. You can move just once, and you actually can turn for walker an unlimited number of times. For ground, if you're going combat speed, there's going to be limitations only once. Hover only once as well. And you have top speed, which allows you to, it gives you a penalty of 1 dice on your attack rolls, but you get a dice on your defense rolls. And you can have up to 2 moves, which is very interesting since, as we take a look at what we're used to, gears, they have 2 movement modes, walker and ground. So you can start off in ground, do that move, switch over to walker, and finish your move that way at top speed. Turning in the game, you're limited to actually 90 degrees. So for your ground and hover, you can only make a 90-degree turn, but for the walker, it's unlimited turns, so you can basically zigzag around the battlefield. And different things. We're going to look right now at the hover. So we're going to take the Commando Armiger here, and it actually has 2 modes. It has walker 5 inches and hover 8. So we could actually start walking as if it was going top speed, walk 5 inches, and then take off hovering, moving, and move 8 inches on its second part of its move in top speed. Some of the other ones, like the ground, let's take a look here at, this is the support Armiger. It would only have 5 ground movement, so it's moving slower. And when we actually get them into the movement phase, they would move and they would fire. Now, some other cool things, that you have to know about walker, is that it allows you to move over what we call difficult terrain. So take example here, we have the destroyed hunter there on the tabletop. It could actually walk through that area and have no penalty. But if we said that that thing was very like a rough terrain, difficult terrain, then the ground mode would actually have to pay 2 movement points for every inch it moves through it. Hovering, if we said that was just a 0 rough terrain area, it would actually not have to pay anything because it just hovers over top of it. It would basically move its normal move. Some other cool things for the different modes. Walking, if you had a road on the table, would get an extra movement point. Ground would get 2 extra movement points on a road, and hover would get 3 extra movement points when it's going on a road. Now, as we mentioned about the number of turns that you can actually make. So here we've got on page 28. You have unlimited in walker. Which means you can start off, you can zigzag all around. And go where you need to go. Whereas on ground and hover, just 1. And you have some penalties. For going over rough terrain. One other thing, in the game when you're moving is you have inclines. And if anything is over 45 degrees incline on a surface, you actually have to do climbing. If it's less than 45, your vehicle is going to go over it no problem. And when you actually have to climb in the game, then you want to have a walker, with arms, because it allows you to basically, climb the height of the model, which for a hunter, it would be like 1.5 inches. For a walker without arms, it cannot climb. Unless it's got a special climbing trait or climbing equipment. Same thing for ground vehicles. Unless it's got special climbing equipment, it cannot climb. Hover, same thing. It's just hovering over the surface, but some vehicles actually have jetpacks, which allow them to overcome these things, these obstacles. So that's the gist of how everything moves, you know, and with these, you know, when you're going at top speed, having the ability to switch from one mode to another, you know, can allow you to go a little bit further, to go over rough terrain, you know, and take advantage of, you know, walking where it basically allows you to freeform to go over just what every territory, you know, ground would allow you to go a little bit further, hover even further, you know, but you're limited, you know, like with your turning. So that's it for today's example. Have a nice day.